Okay, so welcome to this section of or this video on the second chapter of the literature review of your assignment, where I will give you some tips on how to write it. And I think the first thing is to divide the chapter in at least two sections, where you have the first one on the method of the literature review. And the method of the literature review is I will say, short section where you explain how you found the articles that you are analyzing in your study. So we will start um, with the section. I mean, I can also come here with this section that I think it can take maybe, I don't know, one page. I don't think you need to be that extensive, 1 or 2 pages, where you aim to answer to these questions. Basically, being transparent on what you did on the search and also why did you use all of these things when you were doing the search. So start with this discussing maybe how did you search, like which keywords did you use, which search engines, Scopus or Google Scholar. How did you limit your search? Did you use only English articles? Did you include books? Did you include book chapters? Did you include Swedish? Why and why not? And also, did you find articles from another source? Probably yes. I think I will give you articles that you can already use. How do you assess the quality of the literature? Very sensitive question, remember from lecture 2. So all of these things, they need to appear in here. And I think basically when you write this part, make sure that you are being transparent so you are not missing anything, like which keywords, which search engines, everything, but also justify why. So for that, you have in here that section, explain it, which keywords and everything, and explain why. And I think something that this group could have done better is that I think they didn't justify that much. They only explained. But to justify, you can use this list of references from here, because I think this list of references gives you very nice articles to justify your choices. So for example, these references here, for example, this one, it is about the number of articles that are useful in a literature review. So maybe take a quick look at this article and maybe cite this article to mention that, I don't know, if you found 100 articles in the first search, that sounds like a reasonable number. So also maybe another tip critical thing, if you want to justify that you use English only, use one of these articles in here. They are very useful also. So take a look at this list of references that I think you can exploit when writing chapter 2, the literature review. And then in the literature review, I mean, try to keep the structure that I gave you in the lecture. I think that can be very useful, where maybe you start discussing your dependent variable, like what is happiness, what is student happiness, what are the different approaches to student happiness, discuss 1 or 2 articles in there. Because remember, at the end in your literature review, you need to have at least 10 academic references. So maybe for student happiness, discuss 2 or 3 articles that discuss happiness, student happiness, different angles, and all of this in here. You need, I don't know, 2 or 3 paragraphs. And then maybe discuss, you can even have a subsection like 2.2.1 on student happiness, 2.2.2 on maybe it can be the independent variable. So maybe financial stress. So again, discuss what is financial stress, what is financial stress for students, what are different angles of financial stress, different dimensions of that. Maybe in 2.2.3, you can have the interaction. So what do we know about the connection? Can financial stress trigger unhappiness or not? Why yes, why not? What do we know? All of that, put it in there in 2.2.3. And then I think that in at the end of that, as I think I include in here, what is the final framework and your hypothesis? That is also what I mentioned in the lecture. Like the hypothesis is very simple. It's only your you will assume that there will be a relationship between your independent and your dependent variable. I guess financial stress will have a negative relationship with happiness, but other relationships might be different. For example, maybe uh, li- uh, life balance will have a positive relationship with student happiness. So that will be your hypothesis. That will be in here. And then the model, maybe I can use the example because I think they presented a good model, good initial framework, where I told you you will identify maybe, I don't know, a few things that are relevant for the wherever you're studying. So maybe this is what maybe you can do a simple model, including the important concepts that you identify in the literature. So I think they identify egoistic values, altruistic values, biosphere in connection to sustainable consumer behavior and values. So try to propose something like that, like they did. I mean, I think here they did a good job, so maybe you can take a look at what they present. So, so I think that that is the literature review. I think here you can maybe divide reading the articles. I mean, maybe try to divide two articles each person, and then that will be okay. Also, when you do the search, when you do this big search, it will be a big mess. I already told you in the lecture, maybe you will end up with 3,000 articles. Limit the search more, limit it until you reach like 200, 150. I don't know, something in between that, like 50 and 200, it sounds fair. And then maybe choose 10 articles that really make sense and that pass all of the different criteria that you have, quality criteria and everything on all the filters that you put. So choose 10 from the list of 50 or whatever. So I guess that that will be a good benchmark more or less of, because it will be impossible that you read the 50 articles. It will be too much. You will need to select 10 and read this 10 and do it like that. In your thesis, of course, you will have to read around 50 or 40 or even more. But now I think you won't have the time. So just do the search, try to limit it a lot, and then choose maybe 10 articles and then read them and discuss them in the literature review. So I hope you're not more confused. I hope the videos are helping you. But anyway, I've started working on that because we have a deadline coming up. And still let me know if you need more help or if you have more questions.